Go ahead and start it. Welcome. We're going to call the meeting to order. Let the record show that only Ms. Tabor is absent. We do expect her to be missing a few. That's all we're going to say. Moving ahead, please stand. Remove your hats if you're able, please. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any changes to the agenda?
We have two additions. We have two additions to consent agenda. Number 7, approve the creation of a boost-funded workforce development coach position. And number 8, approve the creation of a boost-funded mentor tutor position.
Do we have any question on the agenda? If not, can we get a motion to pass it?
I'll move.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Same. Motion passes. Is there anyone who had signed up for community comment?
No, they didn't.
Okay. We've been right through this meeting. Presentation on community schools is up next.
Yeah, are you coming up with my assignments?
CB.
So I'm Casey Steiner. I'm the Director of Community Schools at MTSS, and I'll let my teammates introduce themselves.
And hi, I'm Lynn Luca. I am the Community Schools Coordinator at the Marion Junior Senior High School.
I'm Emily Lorenzen. I'm the Community School Coordinator at MES.
So we're excited to share with you a little bit tonight about what community schools is, kind of as a reminder or a refresher for some of you. And then for those of you that are newer to our board, kind of as an introduction. And so what is the community school strategy? We're gonna kind of break it down using our Essentials for Community Schools Transformation framework, which we lovingly refer to as the WHEEL. And then talk a little bit more like practically about how this actually looks in Marion School District. And then we will talk about some of our partners and our collaboration, which is a key part of the framework, and then our kind of goals moving forward. So this is the definition of a community school. It's a place where educators, local community members, families, and students all work together to strengthen conditions for student learning and healthy development. As partners, they organize in and outside of school resources, supports, and opportunities so that young people thrive. And so obviously there's a few components of that that are bolded. When we talk about like strengthening the conditions for student learning and healthy development, to me, that's like making school a place where teachers can come to teach, students can come to learn, and we can make sure that all of their needs are met. And then we do that not just in school, but out of school. And I think that's something that's unique to our team as we go out into the community. And we really view ourselves as kind of like that cradle to career team. So these guys not only coordinate some supports in school, but even do things for like little like birth to 4-year-olds. So we have an infant toddler book club that they facilitate as well. And then our goal is that young people thrive. So we want all of our students to be healthy and well.
So our community school strategy, it really is a strategy like Casey said, but it's a set of intentional partnerships that support whole child development based on the needs and assets of the local community. So first off, our intentional partners, the reason they're purposeful. They're with families, they're with community organizations, local businesses, service providers, and that just makes sure that our students have everything they need to thrive. They're intentional because they are based off of data and conversations of what our community needs. And you're gonna hear more about that as we go into the presentation. And the goal is just to support the whole child academically, socially, emotionally, and physically by surrounding them with a network of care. And this slide we're super proud of. This is actually gonna give you a lot of our strategic community-based partnerships. I know it's a lot, but there are some that we're like super proud of. And they've come through some of the work. That second, like that first one, Toys for Tots, we do a lot of our Christmas with them. Pie Squared, she's a local baker, and every week she donates to our school-based pantries her overflow, and we use that and provide that into our food boxes for local communities. Our Marion Public Library, I'm not gonna go through them all, but just as you can see, our list keeps growing, and it's something we're really proud of and thankful for. And another big one is our family members and community members too, so.
And I would just add to that, you know, the last slide mentioned that we leverage the assets of the community. I think this is one of the strengths of Marion as a community, is how involved and engaged the whole community is. So some of these people are local community members, some of them are more regional in the county, and, you know, like Walmart, of course, is more than just regional, but we're really fortunate to have so many people engaged in supporting this work, and it shows. You know, we can't do all this alone, we can't meet the needs of every child, it takes a village, right? And so
This really showcases
people are
that.
showing up.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to community schools being more of a strategy rather than an entity, so each community school is different. So just about every school in Wayne County is considered a community school, and when you walk into the doors of each of them, they look very different as to how they operate and function. So like here in Marion, like we just mentioned our list of partners, that's like our asset-based, place-based, person-centered approach. So we really lean on the assets of each community, and here in Marion, we have a lot of those people and partners willing to help us. It's, in general, the way that we do school, it's more so a mindset rather than, like I said, an entity or a physical thing. It's a way of thinking and a way of going about and thinking differently to help meet the needs of every child and family.
So this is our wheel that we love so much. And so the center of the wheel is kind of the why behind the work, that all students flourish in thriving school communities. Basically, we could take our like whole child framework and plop it right in the middle there. Our goal is that every student is healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. And then who kind of drives that work is that orange ring. And it's everybody, right? It's community partners, it's school staff, our coordinators, but also youth and families are a part of that as well. And what I really love about that component is like everybody's equally represented kind of around the table, if you will. So one person isn't valued more than the other, we all come to the table and work together. The turquoise ring there, or bluish, whatever it is our enabling conditions. The things that make this work most successful and possible are things like trusting relationships with our community members, with our young people, their families. Having actionable data, as Emily referenced, we do a needs and assets assessment, and I'm like ecstatic to report we had 232 people respond to a survey. That's like it represents 34% of all the survey responses in all of Wayne County, and we're the smallest community in the Wayne County school districts. So that's pretty impressive in and of itself. But it also just to me shows how engaged people are and that people are willing to do what we ask of them and show up and help and share their voice. Inclusive decision making, we're gonna talk a little bit about our advisory board and that process and having a shared vision, which is some of the work that we've been doing. So those are the enabling conditions. And then the key practices are the next ring. Those are the things that probably look most familiar to people. Things like a culture of belonging, safety, and care. We can kind of imagine what that looks like. Expanded and enriched learning opportunities. Rigorous community-connected classroom instruction. Integrated systems of support. So again, thinking about the whole child, not just them as learners, and creating those conditions for learning and development. powerful student and family engagement, and collaborative leadership and shared power and voice. So those are the things that we'll talk a little bit more about what those really look like in Marion, because those are the things that I think you can see a little bit easier. And then this dark blue circle around the outside, the supportive infrastructure, I think we're very fortunate because Wayne County Community Schools has been a long-standing organization, and the Wayne County Partnership for Strengthening Families kind of helps support all of this. So working on continuous improvement and professional development opportunities so that some of our community partners can show up and speak the same language that we do at schools. And that can help with bringing in sustainable resources and grants, and kind of overcome some governance issues that we can run into when different organizations have to report to different entities.
So but how does all of this come together and work? It really sits within those enabling conditions. So the actionable data, the trusting relationships, the inclusive decision making, and the shared vision. So to go back to the actionable data, the needs and assets assessment that we conducted, we reviewed that at our student advisory board, community schools advisory board. And that goes along with the inclusive decision making. So we're intentionally seeking voice from all different stakeholders, which brings us back to the orange ring. Our trusting relationships is always a work in progress. So whether that be with students, families, staff, and community members as a whole, that's work that always needs to be done. We also do our best to go gather a shared vision. So our Essentials for Transformation wheel that you just saw aligns pretty well with the whole child framework that Marion follows. And ultimately, we're doing our best to make Marion the best place for kids to grow up, which is something that we truly believe in, that is already happening, but what does that look like? And that's a question that we're trying to answer through our advisory board.
So adding on to that, making Marion the best place to grow up, for kids to grow up. Like Emily said, we have our community schools advisory. We meet about 4 times a year. Anyone is welcome. And at our second to last one in September, we really wanted to hone in. Like, that's an easy statement to say, making Marion the best place to grow up, but what does that truly mean to our community members was super important to help us drive our work and understand. It was harder to come up with those values, but we did a visioning activity where we had people imagine the day in the life of a child growing up in Marion, like from the moment they wake up till when they go to bed. And we said, pick a young child, pick a middle schooler, pick something that you can relate to. And then we did some visioning activities where we all wrote down our ideas. And these are the general themes of those. And there's something where it's definitely trying to hone in and come up with our exact values for Marion. But like we said, as a team, we're like, wow, it's not as easy, right? You can't just capture someone's values in a few words. So it's something we're continually working on. At our last advisory board in the beginning of October, we also brought this up and had people at the advisory board add to things. So it's still a work in progress, but we're definitely making some strides. So from our community standpoint, this is what it means for the best place for the kids to grow up.
So this is an example of collaboration and action. So this is taking you through the steps that we've gone through in order to make certain things possible. So last year we were able to provide new childcare options. We had swimming lessons over the summer as a partnership with PALMAC. We provided those to 18 kids. We have opened up our weight room to our community to be able to access on Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings. And even more was all carried through this kind of collaboration timeline. So it starts with conducting that needs and assets assessment that we've referenced a couple of times, bringing the data to our advisory board for a larger group of people to analyze and identify different areas of growth. And then Lynn, Casey, and myself kind of take what we gather from those meetings, we think on it, we ask even more questions, and then we connect with partners who in turn connect us with more partners in order to make all of that possible. So kind of breaking down the key practices, which was that bigger chunk in the transformation wheel, so it was the 6 light blue areas. So those are the more visible things that you can see and what a lot of our work consists of. So I can speak specifically to what we do at the elementary school. One of those things is Student Advisory Committee for Collaborative Leadership, Shared Power, and Voice. So we just had our first meeting of the school year, so we invite 5th and 6th graders at random to join us and have their voices heard as to different things and topics that we would like their input on. And we also have the Community Schools Advisory Board.
And at the high school, we have our youth voice leaders. They're an active group of high schoolers that are involved with not only just Marion Junior Senior High School, but as Wayne County, throughout Wayne County as well. They're doing some great work, and I'm super proud of them. They have an upcoming youth voice evening for kids to come to and have dinner and do some classes and things like that. So they are amazing, and we get to work with them directly. We always say whenever we're stuck on something, we're like, oh, you know what, we'll just go at the youth voice leaders, We were trying to come up with a name for mini camps and things or at the high school, and we're we just ask them, they're just a huge pivotal part of our work, and we're so lucky to be able to fall back on them, and they're doing great things. Along with that too, we also have in Wayne County Elevating Student Voices, and we just got done with our World Savvy Changemakers Summit. We're invited students to come and have their voices heard as well, so our students are having opportunities to voice that. For expanded and enriched learning opportunities, I'll speak for the high school. We are rolling out mini camps, which Emily's been doing a great job of at the elementaries for a few years now. But we're gonna be rolling out in conjunction with the Boost Grant, something similar but at the junior senior high school level. And we're still coming up with names right now, setting aside Quest, but we're not completely set, but just a little bit longer of a time frame. For the elementary, it's 5 hours. The high school will be 10 hours, so those will be great opportunities for the kids. And then the rest is elementary right now.
All right, so again, mini camps, they're one of my favorite parts about my role here. So just seeing how many kids get involved and how many teachers get excited about leading mini camps, and it really just increases everybody's positive attitudes and feelings towards school and doing things outside of school. Those are probably my favorite thing ever. So we also did swim lessons like I had mentioned. Last year, Lynn had gotten our Books and Bites Club up and running, which is an opportunity for students to go and visit the public library. They have a snack, get library cards if they didn't have one, and there's another way for them to engage in our community. And we're working on kind of bolstering our mentoring program and making some changes. So for the past few years, it's been an adult to student mentoring program, and right now Lynn and I are trying to think of ways to make it more of a peer-to-peer mentoring program. So that's just a way for kids to foster positive attachments with one another and some positive adults. And I see some of my mentors in here today, so thank you. And then for powerful student and family engagement, another one of my favorite things to do is go on home visits and meet families where they're at. Engagement doesn't always necessarily mean that people are coming to the school. When you get to go to a family's house and really meet them where they're at, it's an undescribable feeling. So that's probably my big takeaway from this powerful student and family engagement.
Mine as well, and I think it's also showcasing too, we go on and knock on a door, and most of the time these families are opening the door. We're standing on their doorstep, and they're opening the door. It's another thing, showing how Marion's unique and willing and wanting to partner, and I think it's just one of the best parts of our job is connecting and meeting families where they're at. Another thing we hosted last year is book swaps, just a quick came and swapped in the cafeteria, and it's a great way for kids to build their home library. It's another thing we'll be getting up and going. Emily and I host
UPK coffee chat, so we invite parents of UPK and now kindergarten families in one Friday a month to sit and have coffee and connect with each other. If they have any questions about the school, they're open to ask me then. And a lot of times it's just good conversations and coffee and talking about how their child is progressing with another mom. We also do Nights Ride, and that is a second chance bus ride. Also, again, a lot of home visits, so identifying the chronically absent students and going out to their homes a second chance after they've missed the first bus and just, letting them know that they can come to school, there's no penalty, and that we're here for them. And, we don't get kids every day, but we get kids a lot of the time. And when we don't, we're making connections with their families and seeing how we can support them in other ways.
And I run a check and connect intervention up here at the high school. This is a long-term intervention. A lot of times our interventions are 6 weeks, 12 weeks. This is like, we're talking years. It's aimed at kids that might be, have the chance of dropping out and trying to stop that. A big part of the check and connect is obviously the student and building that relationship and talking about goals and what we're gonna work on. Another huge part of that is that family connection. And I call home, I do go out for cups of coffee, and I really truly trying to connect with these families and again, meet them where they're at so that we as a school can help connect them with either services or resources, or even just having that quick conversation, like, maybe one subject's harder than the other and letting that teacher know that, or like moving their, like simple things like moving their seat to closer to the front of the room and they can see better, but the kids just don't know how to advocate for themselves, and it's helping to get their voice and be able to learn how to ask for those things. Another thing we did over this summer, because it was from our CSAB, is opportunities for families to connect. So we did some family field trips. We did a cherry picking and then went out for ice cream. We went to B. Foreman Park and did rock painting and had a picnic dinner all together. And then our last one was at Sodas Point Beach. So we did provide that opportunity for transportation in case transportation was a barrier for any of those. So it was a great time. We connected with a lot of great families, and it was good to see some of the kids over the summer. Anything you want to
No, I think we got it. So for rigorous community connected classroom instruction, so this is kind of something that Lynn and I had partnered on last year. So we were able to provide dental education in our kindergarten classrooms. And another thing that we are carrying over again to this year is our future fair. So last year at MES, we invited different businesses, companies, different career opportunities to come in and speak to our elementary students, just to get them thinking a little bit more about their future and what kinds of opportunities are out there for them at a younger age. And that's modeled off of our Wayne County Community Schools Career Carnival, which is same thing on a bigger scale and open to every 8th grader in the county.
For integrated systems of support, we are all on the MTAS team, so tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and we make it to all those meetings, help with any of the work that might be involved, join subcommittees, things like that. We also work with Finger Lakes Community Health. They're coming in at the end of November, December, and giving free dental cleanings to any child that signs up. That deadline is coming up soon, it's November 11th. But they come right to the school and they have their dental care provided right here. For free if needed with health insurance or lack of health insurance, so that's another great thing. We've been able to bring the school, and we work with the school nurses to help coordinate that schedule and things like that. We do work directly with FoodLink, and Emily and I both at both elementary and high school have school-based pantries where we deliver food boxes to families. We're working with Toys for Tots, and now the Giving Tree which was formerly known as the Angel Tree.
So yeah, it's where, they get the tags and they have them housed at the library, and you get to go and pick a tag and shop for a student or family who may be in need of Christmas gifts. So we've kind of streamlined that process and have partnered directly with the library and with Carrie Sargent, who kind of oversees that organization, just to make sure that every kid in the school district who is needing some support is able to get some.
Yeah, we have a support form that goes out in all our newsletters from either elementary or high school or the community-based one, where there's a QR code where families can reach right out directly to us. That's how we do a lot of our work with these support with our food boxes or Christmas help. And like we call families directly and set up times and meet with them and figure out what they need. Another great thing we offer is Get Ready to Grow, which is screening. So kind of how Casey touched upon how we do things with younger kids, 0 to 4 or 5. This is one of those screenings. They came in and screened almost all of our incoming preschoolers. We start with basics from height, weight, dental, eye,
They do gross motor, fine motor.
speech, yep. So it's a great way to catch maybe where a student might need a little extra support. And we also do FACT referrals.
Yep, we partner with the Wayne County Department of Aging and Youth for FACT, and that is just like some extra, more intensive case management services. For the culture of belonging, safety, and care, and this is our last of the key practices, this is, I think, the work that comes more naturally to us. So making sure that every student feels like they belong, that they're cared about, and that they have a trusted adult is kind of our main goal with this one. So in order to foster that, we do things like lunch bunches, check in, check out is an intervention that can help support this. We hold new students groups for all of our incoming new students so that they feel welcomed and meet friendly faces from day one. We do Y-Try, which is an evidence-based curriculum used for resilience building and motivation building. So I know Lynn and I have both administered groups or one-on-one sessions of Y-Try. And then as a whole school community, we're supporting Tier 1 efforts. So I know we both had a busy week last week with it being Red Ribbon Week and Halloween. And we look forward to supporting other Tier 1 efforts like Mental Health Awareness Week, Wellness Month, things like that.
You can tell that they are just sitting around all day, right?
Looking for things to do.
No, I think you can also hear in their voices the excitement that they have about this work. Like, we are so fortunate to have both of them. I'm super grateful for both of them. And I know they have each set some goals for themselves for this school year. So at the elementary school, Emily's focusing on increasing connections to school and community through rigorous community connected instruction. So earlier on in one of the slides, you might have seen me do something called the Evalumetrics Youth Survey, and that is a student survey that's completed for students in grades 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 every other year. So it kind of follows them through their cohort of years, and a few of the questions target like how they're feeling about their instruction and how relevant they feel it is, as well as their community connectedness. And so these were areas that were identified as needing some improvement, and so Emily's got some ideas about how she's focusing on improving some community connected instruction and really supporting teachers and making their instruction relevant for students as well. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you got it covered. That's still like a work in progress for me. I kind of picked that as my goal, as the rigorous community connected classroom instruction was something that I felt that I needed to learn more about. And what better way to do that than making a wildly important goal for myself. So I've been reading curriculum maps and having conversations with teachers and starting to get to know the content before being able to offer, I have this, and this that we can partner with. So I'm kind of in like the beginning phase of my goal and really in like a learning period for myself, so that when I am able to really partner with teachers and bring in outside organizations, that I am able to do it confidently. I would say one thing that is in like the early works is I'm working with our second grade team to hopefully partner with the Salvation Army and do a kind of like a food give back field trip of some sort. So there's still some planning that needs to go into that, but that's definitely a goal of the second grade team and myself, so I'm very excited about that.
And then Lynn is working on reducing chronic absenteeism through integrated systems of support and powerful student and family engagement. So Nights Ride is a big piece of that. Check and Connect is that like one-to-one relationship. It's an intervention, like she mentioned, that's over a few years to build a relationship with a student, to be that supportive adult for them, to help them through any barriers that may be impacting their learning, and to connect with their families as well. So
I think too, I think also like reflecting back on like trying to make Marion the best place to grow up, like truly trying to understand their reasonings for not coming to school and like what's holding them, what kind of barrier, obstacles, or reasoning, so that we can better understand and make Marion the best place to grow up for all kids, even though that may not be coming to school at that time, but hopefully we can change that course of action and they'll be coming to school. It's something near and dear to my heart. When we were picking these goals, they said something like, what keeps you up at night? It's those kids that don't get to see and check in and make sure they're okay. So that's why I focus my attention on that goal.
And then I would add to like other areas of focus that is identified from our Community Schools Advisory Board. We've mentioned that we've met twice this school year. and are still working on identifying and solidifying those values and the vision. And we met recently, I believe it was last week or the week before. It was last week. It's been a blur. So we met last week and have identified some things, but we just haven't had the time to really sit down and dedicate the time that's necessary to look at those. So kind of like how we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, like the swimming, the childcare, things and opportunities like that, we will take a look at our data and our responses from last week's advisory board meeting and kind of sit with that, get some feedback from our next meeting and move forward with the areas identified as areas for growth.
Yeah, so this kind of quote helps us remind ourselves, like if we wanna go fast, we can go alone and we can get things done pretty quickly. But if we wanna really make it meaningful, if we wanna go far, we go together. And so that's why we really think it's important to engage all those stakeholders and the different people around the table, because we know we can do our best work when we work together. So thank you all for listening and for allowing us all to do the work that we love. We hope our love for it kind of comes through. But do you have any questions for us?
Thank you, guys.
Very thorough.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna go again, so.
Okay.
We can do the personnel from here and then.
Got
it. Did you pull? We do these all together and then so we like dump it? Okay. So personnel by consent, does anyone have any questions? If not, can we get a motion to approve? Okay, the other will second, fantastic. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. We do have,
Yes, we have, yes, so one of our appointees tonight is our new secretary to the superintendent district data coordinator. This is a position that I was like very sad to see posted. Because you know, Nadine is fabulous and has done such a great job in her role, and honestly, like I've learned so much from her, like I'm able to do this job because of Nadine. But even though we had to have this posting, I am confident that we have found a great candidate for that, so
hope so,
you all
just appointed
know
her.
Sandy from her other role in the district as registrar, and she does her data coordinator work for us currently, but she's such also a great asset to Marion and is really hardworking, ready to learn, and we're excited to have her take on this new role for the district.
Fantastic, then we would also like to celebrate you and would like you to come run our gauntlet so we can shake your hand, please. And I want everyone's here, so with Mr. Wise if you'd like.
Okay.
Just did for you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And like it's traditional, just so you all know. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to my new role.
So next I got excited and put on the NISBA update from Amber, who is not here. So we're going to table that because I don't have her information, so we'll table that one. Look how fast we got through that. Moving right along, we're at our superintendent report, which is why I didn't move my chair all the way back.
I have have a fairly short update for you tonight, so just 2 items that I wanted to highlight for the board. So we recently did a school visit to Waverly Central Schools, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And as was mentioned in the community schools presentation, there was also a team of us who attended the World Savvy Conference. So I'll just share a little bit about those 2 things. Waverly Central Schools are down right near the Pennsylvania border, and we made a connection with them at the Rural Schools Association conference this summer. So Nikki attended a session with the superintendent of Waverly, and Nikki has been saying ever since Rural Schools, like, we need to go visit because they do amazing things down there for around community schools and work-based learning. So we made a connection with the superintendent and went for a visit just last week. So it was myself, Mr. Dean, Mrs. Steiner, Mr. Kellerhouse, Mrs. Luca, and Mrs. O'Hara. And we went down there for the day. They welcomed us in. We had a nice tour of the district, but we spent a lot of time talking about the work-based learning opportunities that they have for students. So they have really a lot of offerings for students to have work-based learning experiences both within the school day and outside of the school day. And they do a lot of them right through the school. So for example, they have, similar to how we have the Knights Cafe here, they have also like a cafe, kind of a coffee house, breakfast, lunch type of place that's run by students. They have a great, I guess, relationship that they have established with a local hospital. So they've established kind of a pipeline from school to the hospital for kids to be able to have work-based learning experiences linked to healthcare. We spent a little bit of time looking at some of their CTE programming. So they have some agriculture programming similar to ours. They have their own drone school where they give students the opportunity to earn their pilot's license. Also, we learn more about their community schools connections, so things like how they run their food pantry. They have a thrift store that's all student run, so it's linked to a business class. So during the day they do the planning in business class, and then students rotate through and run the thrift store after hours, and those students are paid through their work-based learning opportunities. And then they had some really unique community art experiences that they facilitate for their students. So through students' art classes, they've done things like some mural projects in town. They had in their community multiple underpasses that had a lot of graffiti. They got permission to paint those with murals or panels. They have created welcoming entryways at each of the major entrances to town, student designed signs and welcomes. So for us, we've started to talk a little bit about next steps for us as a team now that we've gone here and learned, like, what do we want to bring back to Marion? And we're really prioritizing that work-based learning opportunity. So they shared with us that they utilize a BOCES co-service agreement for enrichment to be able to fund some of these work-based learning experiences for students. So they provide the work-based learning experience. There's payment to students for that work-based learning, and it's reimbursable through this enrichment co-service agreement. So that's one of our first things to look into after this visit. And then also just great ideas in terms of how to connect more for community schools and exploring, like, how can we leverage our students to help pull off some of these community schools connections or activities also in a way that might provide us an opportunity to be able to compensate kids, like pay students to do that. Next, the World Savvy Conference. So this was also last week, the week before, last week. like Emily said, like it's a blur lately with what we're doing. We had to do a last second pivot to Geneva. There was a water main break in Newark. We were supposed to be at the conference, the BOCES Conference Center, but they had to be closed because of work on their water main. So we ended up taking our team to Geneva. We had 10 junior, senior high school students who were invited. One of the big goals of this conference is increasing student voice. So we spent the day in Geneva, and they sometimes broke us apart, like adult groups and student groups. Sometimes we were together as a whole school. They spent a good chunk of the morning like reviewing data about schools, student perception, getting feedback from students. And the big takeaway was like really brainstorming ideas to improve our school. So they really encourage kids to think outside of the box, like imagine things like you didn't have to follow a period schedule, or you could work towards mastery. Like there were all sorts of different prompts for kids to kind of reimagine what school might look like. So they collected all those ideas throughout the day, and then there's 2 follow-up sessions in November, and these will hopefully, without a water main break, be back at Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES. And again, the idea is we'll take that feedback from students to pick something to change at the junior, senior high. So take that feedback from kids and think about, okay, what do we wanna do to improve the student experience at Marion Junior, Senior High, and kind of reimagine a piece of school for kids. So that's it, unless people have questions on either the visit or World Savvy. Alright, thank you.
Okay. Student Representative McKay.
It's been a very busy week, well, past few weeks with sports and academics. The girls varsity volleyball team, they won their first round of sectionals, but unfortunately lost the second round. The girls modified soccer team, they had an almost undefeated season with a record of 10-1-1. The girls varsity soccer team was Section B Class B2 co-champions with Williamson. They'll be getting their medals and shields soon. The boys cross country girls and boys cross country team, they got first and second place overall at leagues. Some of the FFA students got the opportunity to go to the National FFA convention, so they got to learn a lot there. We celebrated Halloween and Red Ribbon Week, which was all about saying no to drugs. We celebrated that with spirit days like tie-dye, jerseys, and costumes. Students got donuts on Halloween for sending 3 Black Knight commendations, which were sent by students and staff. The Penny Fund is also starting soon, so everyone remember to start saving. And we also had a vocal and band concert, so that we were able to showcase what the students have been working on.
Now, Lydia, we also talked about something else that you were gonna bring up.
Okay.
This is where this 100% is where you would do this.
So, me as well, this year and past few years, me and other students have also come up to me about the lack of quality of our school lunches. I don't know what staff or faculty eats our school lunches, but I have had turkey that looks like bread. I've had fish that was like wet. So, Mary and I know we try to make sure the whole child is cared for, so school lunches are something that to me is a part of that. And I feel as if sometimes they're not the most healthy for us, so.
So that is exactly what you are doing in that seat. Yes, we wanna know. If the kids are coming to you and saying, don't love this, then yep, this is exactly how you would do it.
Also, there were some concerns about some, like, not necessarily expired, but foods that might taste a little, like, spoiled or not necessarily great. So, that was
Alright. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Do you have anything else you want to say?
that is all.
Okay, we'll kick it over to Mr. Walker.
Okay, first item I have is a capital project update. This week we have a 4-page newsletter that should be going out so that all the community members will receive that prior to our upcoming meetings. So we have the forum after the November 18th meeting. We also are scheduled to present at the PTO meeting the next day on the 19th. On December 5th, Dr. Lloyd and I will be at a senior citizen luncheon at Stonehenge, or excuse me, sorry, let me back up, I screwed that up. There's a meeting December 5th at Stonehenge for any community members that want to attend to get any capital information. And then we also have a senior citizens luncheon. I don't have that date.
The 25th.
25th. Yes, thank you. Then of course we have the vote on the 9th at the junior senior high school. Any questions on the first item?
No.
Kind of a repeat of some information. The second item is the budget development calendar. Yes, it's that time of year again. Seems like we just went through this, but it comes up quick. So the calendar is in there. It looks very similar to previous years. Anybody have any questions on that? We'll be also messaging out for anybody that wants to become part of the budget committee as well, as we have done for the past few years. So anybody that out there that wants to be part of it, feel free to email me. So at next meeting, the board will approve that. Okay. The third item, equipment. Okay, so it has come to my attention in the last few weeks that at the bus garage, we have two lifts that are original with the building, so they go back to 2000, so they're 26 years old. And there was a quote to repair one of them, and the quote was for over $80,000. But the recommendation was they need to be replaced, they've outlived their lifespan. So, building aid and transportation aid are virtually the same. So at this point, to me, it makes the most sense to do one of the lifts in next year's budget. And then we would get the aid on that the following year, which would help fund the second lift. And then the third year would be kind of like a bonus aid, the year lag for the transportation aid. So that seems to make the most sense to me in terms of getting that taken care of.
One right now is currently working okay,
We have one that is
but
operational,
one down.
and we can, yes.
Okay.
So we can live through this year, get the other one fixed, in the upcoming budget, which would be probably this coming summer. So it'll be fully operational for the school year. And then, get the second one.
You know, what is the lift called?
Oh, good question. The quote for one is $267,000. That's today's quote, so that's could change, obviously by this coming summer. So it is a hefty price tag.
Yeah. Okay, dope. Does it come with any kind of warranty as opposed to like paying to fix it and then I would assume no warranty?
Everything has a warranty, I don't have it right in front of me to tell you exactly what that is, but. Any other questions on that, on that piece of it? So the other part of the equipment, so last year, if you remember, in the budget development, facilities requested a floor scrubber, one for each building. They also requested a field paint sprayer. And those three items totaled about $40,000. This fall, the facilities director has come to me and has suggested that instead of purchasing those new items this year, that he would use his building repair money to get new brushes and batteries for the floor scrubbers to prolong their life. He feels a stronger need that he needs to replace his existing John Deere tractor, which is a 2015. He wants to replace it with a slightly larger one with a salt spreader, which would allow him to, salt the walkways and the sidewalks, cause currently right now they do it kind of by hand. And then also to allow him to help push back some of the snowbanks, to some degree, obviously not, it's really large. I think this probably became a little bit of reality last winter, we had a little bit more of a normal winter. So our contracts, for snow removal, increased quite a bit. So the hope is with a little bit better snow removal equipment in-house, that we can reduce those costs as well. So he would like to do that, and he's saying that he can basically reallocate that $40,000 towards the new tractor and spreader. And then the old tractor would go up on Auctions International, to be sold, which the funds from that, would help fund future equipment.
Field paint sprayer, I can't imagine that gets used a whole lot. Is that anything we could share, like go in with other schools and get one and we rotate using it?
Well, I think that would be a little tricky logistically, only because, if everyone has a home game around the same time.
Everyone's painting the
Well,
field
Yeah,
the same way.
yeah,
I didn't know, do you paint them once a season? Do you paint them
no, they do it,
multiple times a season?
yeah, so as the grass grows and you
Okay.
lose the lines, you have to repaint. I'm not sure how many, depends on the weather, there's a lot of factors, but, they do get repainted. But I could ask
It
more
was
questions.
just a question.
Sure.
But that's budgeted for.
Was it's going to be
Well,
reallocated.
That was part of the 40,000. Now, it's not
For
to say that
scrubbers and-
maybe in the spring if we need it, because I think that's a lower, one of the lower cost items, but we might be able to still get that.
That would do like the baseball fields, too, softball
Right.
fields.
Yep.
Track. Okay.
So if everybody's okay with that, I think at the next meeting, what we'd like to do is surplus the old tractor and get the ball rolling to get the new tractor before snow flies.
Yeah, the discussion about sidewalks has been one we've had for many years. That's not something, I remember Jason came, talked to you several times about
Yeah, so that would be.
slipping on the
But
sidewalks and.
The sidewalk that runs along the parking lot up there still doesn't get cleared. Or very rarely gets cleared, so that makes people block in the parking lot. Like where you walk the ramps down into the building, there's a sidewalk along the parking lot there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't often get cleared. So if you wanna walk through, you have to walk through the parking lot, you can't walk to the sidewalk and walk along there.
Can I ask a question?
Not right
No.
now.
So it's just one of those things. There was Jason's thing that went back to Don Davis.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
But it still hasn't changed. And I
Yeah.
don't know how that, with our contract and whatever, how that would get cleared, but I would think if we could keep kids from walking along behind the cars that are parked there and have the opportunity to walk on that sidewalk, it would be better.
yeah, I could talk to Jim further on that. I know that there are some logistics tied to that, but we can talk it through. Back to you.
Having
If there's a way to clear that
Make that
sidewalk,
happen.
I'd like it. So,
Yeah.
Financial reports.
Yes, financial report, there's, in the revenue side, there's little to no change, which is typical this time of year because you don't start seeing the changes until later in the year, because it's all projected. And then the expenditures, same thing, there's little variance between last month and this month, like 20,000 total variance, when you're talking about $23 million. Any questions on financial?
I do not have any. Alright. So with this one, we do need to
Accept it.
approve, correct? Alright. Could we please have a motion to approve?
I move it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Before we move on to administrators' reports, if anyone does have questions, we do have a sign-up sheet and you can sign up to ask questions at the end of the meeting. But we're gonna move on to our administrator reports. As always, Mrs. Miller.
I was trying to look back, when was the last time I spoke to you, I feel like the world is, as everyone has said, it's been a blur. So we had our conference day, I think we said we were going to have our conference day, we had our conference day and it was lovely and it went as planned and since then, I've also had the opportunity to hear Jay McTighe speak, so Jay McTighe is someone who I saw Cindy Schmaltz, because she knows exactly who Jay McTighe is. He really helped design Understanding by Design, which is one of the ways that Marion uses to think about instructional planning, but he doesn't travel much anymore. And he was going to come in person to Monroe too, but because of air traffic situations, he didn't make his flight, didn't go. So he was virtual, however, he was still wonderful and he really focused on performance-based learning, really through a New York State lens of Portrait of a Graduate and the push through New York State Inspires as we move away from traditional assessments on how to use performance-based learning. So I'm excited that I got to hear him and just his thinking hasn't really changed, but hearing it through that lens was just really nice. Hearing a lot to think about and how to train teachers as that type of assessment becomes more what the state will be looking for as evidence of learning. I also had the opportunity to go to the World Savvy, which was wonderful, so I'm looking forward to the next parts of actually taking what our students said and using that to help drive some of our decisions. Also last week, I went to a digital consortium that is facilitated in connection with the U of R and BOCES to specifically talk about leveraging AI, digital literacy, and computer science as we move forward. And I would say that that's one place, like Marion is really ahead in a lot of places. This is not a place that we're ahead. So there is some work for us to do because really employers want kids that have the Portrait of a Graduate elements, but having technology in each one of those things and how to leverage that technology to problem solve, collaborate, and think, and use it in academics. So they really want, and that's whether you're going to college, that's whether you're going to work, entrepreneur, that technology is an area that we have to make sure that our students are ready for. So where we say we're preparing our students for tomorrow's opportunities, if we really don't
Makes sense.
do a little bit more strategic thinking in this area, we could be leaving many of our kids behind actually, so. And then I've also just been balancing BOCES consulting and stuff that way, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have just about finished up all of our 504 annual reviews. There's 4 elementary school rescheduled meetings that are happening this week. For special education, we have currently 7 new CSE referrals. There are 4 in 2nd grade, 1 in 6th grade, and then 2 in 9th grade. We are starting the process to plan for annual reviews for our special ed students. Those really start at like the very end of January, the start of February, but it's a lot to plan for them to make a calendar for every student and to schedule that. We have 162 students from UPK up to students who go to school up to the age of 22, so getting that schedule and calendar to work is a lot. We still have 3 Marion students who are on a wait list to go to an out-of-district program. The 2 high school students look to be closer to get somewhere than our elementary school students. Red Jacket Education Center is really the one place that takes students at the elementary school level for that student's needs, and there's like a 25-person wait list. And so those students are all being tutored. And then for BKCs, the junior senior building has a building level goal that all students will receive a BKC each marking period. And so the building was able to achieve that for the first marking period. So far, we have sent 1,378 BKCs, and the goal is also to have staff members send those BKCs for students. They're a little bit more specific and personal when a staff member sends them, and so we've sent wonderful BKCs this marking period. It's a highlight of my job to see them. A lot of those BKCs are very specific and great to see. There's also BKCs being sent by everyone. So parents are sending them to their children, bus drivers,
students, I mean, everyone you can think of sends BKCs. We have a middle school student who spent some time with the older Mrs. Tabor, and so she manages our in-school and detention. So this student wrote to her, Mrs. Tabor is always being kind and never judges me on my mistakes, truly one of the kindest staff. And so it's a nice BKC to someone that he sees somewhat regularly, but a very positive BKC to someone who manages in school and lunch detention. So just wanted to share, but there's a ton of them that have been going all throughout the building this marking period because of that goal. And teachers were so helpful, staff members were so willing to support that. So everyone got one from about 45 staff members to help meet that goal.
At the elementary school, as you heard, community schools mentioned, our mini campuses have started, so many students are now participating in those. We have just finished out October, so we are gonna start tomorrow morning over the announcements, recognizing our students whose teacher nominated them for the Character Trait Award for October, which was Inclusion and Acceptance. So we will read their story over the announcements. Tomorrow we'll start with kindergarten and first grade. Students will come down, receive their award and their invitation to their like after school event. November's character trait is gratitude, and we're gonna continue to highlight those stories in the newsletters as the teachers send them to me. I guess much like her BKCs, I love when I get those like little stories in my email. It's really great, and I look them over again on the weekend when I put them into the newsletter. We also had our first whole school Halloween parade. So traditionally it was UPK through second, I believe, or kindergarten through second if you go even further back. But I kind of dropped that bomb last year that we were gonna do all grade levels were gonna be able to dress up and encourage all students to participate in the parade. Not that they had to, but participate in the parade and dressing up and enjoying the day. So we did have UPK through 6th grade participate in our Halloween parade this year, which was really great. And I was very thankful that the weather held off because I really wasn't sure what that was gonna look like. We're making all kinds of crazy plans to try to get people, to be able to see it because it's kind of a big deal when we're gonna have everybody in it. But we were able to.
It went outside, right? So all the parents were outside and could see. I think that is amazing.
Yes. So they go through the whole building, we started with Mrs. Vernon's class and she went down the hall and because the kids will be in the hallway, watching the parade go by, and then they joined the end of the parade, went all through the school and then out the one door and back in. So it was
I think that's really cool.
It was lovely. And I have
And
lots
you
of
didn't
great
have to have all the
pictures.
parents in the building.
I don't even know how we would safely manage to have all of the parents in the building, which is why I wanted to figure out a way to continue to do this, but in a way that's manageable and safe and all of that kind
I
of stuff.
think that sounds awesome.
And that's it.
Okay.
I give you credit because I went trick or treating with my kids Halloween night and that was not lovely
Yeah.
with the weather. So at the junior senior high school, we had students attend the Elevating Student Voices at Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES, which is what community schools, they talked about that. And essentially it's a program where they are trying to empower students to become leaders and dive into discussions about diversity, inclusion, mental health. And the goal is to train some of the leaders to then be facilitators of discussions where they'll come back together on November 12th to lead discussions of students all over the area. So we had 2 students that signed up to be facilitators, which is huge. It takes a lot of bravery to do that with people that you don't know, and so we're really proud of those students and look forward to them participating on the 12th. The web leaders taught their first lesson of the year to our 7th graders. They went into Mrs. Cook's English class and they did a lesson on maintaining positive relationships, specifically being mindful of words they say and they don't say. They used toothpaste and toothpicks to show how once you say a word, it's hard to put words back, and so it got messy and the 7th graders had a lot of fun. So it was really cool to see. And then I ran some data earlier and looked at referrals, October 2024 referral data compared to this current October referral data, and the junior senior high schools referrals are down 42%. So that's really cool to see. That's it.
Well, we talked a lot about what we've been doing for community schools. We had our advisory board meeting last week. A lot
lot of time, you wouldn't believe it, like, it's like we're having Christmas here as well, because we spend a lot of time getting ready for the holidays here, so sending out the support form and then reaching out to families to see what supports are needed, coordinating with multiple different organizations to receive donations and make sure, this is one that we learned last year, was making sure there's enough freezer space for the frozen chickens that we might get or turkeys, and making sure that we're able to distribute those things to families. So there's a lot of time and energy that has been going into that, and will continue all the way through December. Along with that, obviously, there's the SNAP benefits issue that's happening throughout the country. And so we've been working to make sure that those that are requesting food and need food boxes are getting that. And so keeping the food pantry stocked has been a bit of a challenge. Both food pantries have had things flying off the shelves in the recent weeks, so that's something that we've been working on. We have Mrs. Luca Lynn was doing some Steady Work onboarding. So Steady Work is one of our kind of career readiness programs. So students 14 and up can participate. It stands for Skills, Training, and Employment Access for the Development of Youth. So we've worked on a plan to complement the Boost program, where students in Steady Work kind of have different levels of independent work sites. So starting off with more supportive and then working up to more independent work sites where they can develop skills and be paid as employees of Finger Lakes Community Action. So that's a cool opportunity, but it does take a lot of coordination from Mrs. Luca. And then a group of us went to an attendance workshop from the National Center for Community Schools at Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES, and are working on kind of having a concerted effort with district-wide attendance rather than separating by each building, because we know families are, span both buildings, and so having a more concerted kind of aligned attendance approach.
I am very fortunate to have a student rep on the board, so she covered a lot of the highlights. I won't repeat them other than by saying I've just been really proud lately of all the great student things happening between athletics and the music concert. Just a lot to be proud of and celebrate in this building. But other things that Lydia didn't mention are our language teachers did a middle level language Halloween bingo party on Friday. They also recently did 7th grade pumpkin painting. They find a lot of great ways to bring the joy into the language classrooms. We celebrated senior nights for all of our varsity athletic teams, and just really fun nights to celebrate our eldest athletes. FFA Day, I don't think you mentioned that, did you, Liv?
No.
No, that was a lot of fun. Big shout out to Mrs. Lochner and Mr. Rogers for planning that event. We have a bunch of different community members that bring in animals, bring in produce. So it's a really nice event to see a connection with our FFA community. That was a huge success. Coming up soon on November 12th, Mr. Pfeiffer and Mrs. Duffy will be participating in the Distance Learning Spotlight. Remember, they're doing those distance learning classes in our distance learning labs. And so NRW, who is one of our partner schools, has set up a spotlight evening during their parent-teacher conferences. And Mr. Pfeiffer and Mrs. Duffy will be participating in that virtually. So that's pretty cool. Last time I was with you, Tracy and I presented, and Michelle, you asked a question about Zello, and if you could see that in more depth. So I'll be sending the board an email momentarily with some links to more information there.
Thank you.
Yep, and some upcoming dates. Veterans Day, obviously, coming up next week. Our Fall Sports Awards will also be next week on the 13th. We have our first Knight Shield Awards, which will celebrate students from quarter one who had exceptional behavior, attendance, and or grades. And then before we know it, winter sports JV and varsity practices will begin on the 17th.
All right, tech department, this time of year, it's a lot of, bug squashing and accounts and password resets and making sure everybody has what they need. We're finalizing up our replacement of the desktops in the offices, as part of our, forced transition to Windows 11 that had to happen, so we have just a couple more in a couple places that we've been finishing up with. Since we were here last, 75 tickets with an average first response of just about an hour is where we still live. So people are getting what they need when they need the support. And we also did learn that if Amazon servers go down, so does the rest of the world. We had a day when Amazon went down, we learned just how many of our software pieces actually run through those servers. So great fun. Good job.
Next, we have the consent agenda items. Does anyone have any questions on any of those? If not, can we get a motion? Second? Thank you, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Has anyone signed up for community comments?
No one had signed up, but she can.
Did you wanna ask your question?
Yeah, I do. I just had a question about your floor scrubbers. If you're replacing the batteries and brushes, what's the cost? And what type of a tractor and plow are you looking at buying for $140,000?
It's either a Kubota or a John Deere.
Okay, small, large,
It's a little bit,
mid-size,
it's slightly larger than the current one we have.
which is what?
That's a great question.
Okay.
I'm happy to get back to you with, do you have an email address? I can email back to you.
Yes.
If you could, after the meeting, sign up there with your contact information, then you can have it.
Any other questions? Alright. Then I need to please have a motion to move to executive session for the specific purpose of discussing anticipated tenure appointment and potential litigation. Move it. Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Those of you who are here because you are forced to be here for class may come see anyone over here to have your papers signed.